this episode of fixing a Jaguar 420G, we install a radiator, we fix more rust, paint some of the doors, do general work and stuff. So stick around to see the update. So I managed to fix the cock up that I did with the radiator, as in I just replaced it. I got a different radiator to put in to avoid having to recore the original radiator. The issue was that I was expecting a recore, like a copper recore for an original radiator, to be around $600-700. I was gunning for that. However, I got quoted over the phone $900, and I was just like, I couldn't believe this. You know, the next shop I called up quoted $1,100 for the same job. You know, just so it was way too expensive and it couldn't be done. So I went to my favorite wrecking yard, which is where this car came out of. I went to a U-Puller and I took away a radiator from a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It seems to fit pretty well in here. I mean, I've got about that much of space left over on this side and about the same on that side. So it's a very good match, as in it's got the outlets and the inlets where they need to be. The biggest concern, right, was the height. I noticed there was a lot of tall radiators, where this one was nice and slim. It went pretty wide, could fit in such a wide car like this, and most importantly, it came with the brackets. When I took it out of the Grand Cherokee, and I was able just to bolt it to the radiator support here, bolt it to the radiator, so that's all bushed in, and it's low enough. I was able to mount it because it's got this this bracket here. It was low enough to actually come shy of the radiator support. Now you might be wondering, because the radiator is so low and the engine is so high, would there be bleeding issues? Well, Jaguars have a reservoir tank that sits higher than both the engine and the radiator, so that's where it bleeds from. To join these hoses together, I had to elongate everything. With this one, I just had to cut it closer to the elbow, as was this one. This was a K30 top hose that I just had laying around, and I had to cut that back towards the elbow. And then we join these pieces with these little stainless steel sleeves that I had, and what they do is they sit between the two hoses, act as like an intermediary hose, so it connects the two soft lines together with a hard line. And this comes out of a vacuum cleaner. I think I cut up a vacuum cleaner pipe and that's the intermediary hose, and it goes straight into my, still proud of it, thermostat gasket there. Same thing was done for the bottom hose. I just combined whatever stuff I had laying around. I think it's a Valiant hose and the original hose, just cut and shut together. So that's how I got around the radiator issue, and I've started up this car and it runs really good. Like, it sticks straight into the normal range. I haven't driven it on the road, but idling can maintain the temperature perfectly, you know. The water pump's not leaking. I don't see any water leaks from anywhere. I think the head seems to be in good condition. At least it's not pissing coolant into the combustion chamber or the oil passages. So the head seems to be pretty good. And no leaks. So that was a good fix. So I think this is a 1996 Jeep Grand Cherokee radiator. You know, just drilled one hole, two holes, bolted it in, cut and shut some hoses together, and there we go. We've got a cooling system. No fan shroud, but we'll have to just do without that. It's not going to fit. Nice clutch fan. So we fitted that, which is really cool. I didn't film it because a friend was around and he helped me fit this, and couldn't be bothered getting the camera out. You know how it is. And the thing is, she runs like an absolute top. When I got this radiator in, I chucked about 2 liters of fuel in it. I can't start it because I just ran out of fuel, and fuel's way too expensive at the moment just to keep running it and things like that. These carburetors filled up pretty much immediately with our fuel pump that we did a few episodes ago. To my surprise, this auxiliary starting carburetor. I'm not sure how it works. I know there's a solenoid inside there, and it operates off of this temperature switch here that runs, that sinks down into the intake manifold where the coolant gallery is. And if it detects a temperature below 35 degrees, by my understanding, the auxiliary starting carburetor is meant to squirt fuel into the intake manifold, sort of acting like an accelerator pump on a downdraft carburetor. And what I didn't know was, I thought these being like just essentially motorcycle carburetors, I thought it was relying on compression to suck the fuel through, but no. On cold starts, there is some device that directly injects or directly squirts fuel into the intake manifold, which I found really cool, and it seems this is working pretty well. I'm not sure if this is correct or not. However, the auxiliary starting carburetor frosted up on cold starts like it was actually condensation like you'd find on a beer or something. So I'm not sure if that's normal or not. I'm just going to run with it because it's working really well. What I find really wild though was, as this was warming up, this is the first time I've had coolant in the intake passage or just around the system, right? The first time I've actually let it run, I think I let it run for about 25-30 minutes just idling, and honestly it would just sound like better and better as, you know, the rings expanded and it started missing less, and it was sounding really good. What I found really surprising was this heater. This heater here is connected by these heater hoses. I've only reconnected this because that was the original route. You know, so you just followed the original route of the heater hoses, you know, all the coolant passages and things like that. You know, usually with all my old cars that I fix up, I usually just loop these because it's pointless. Like, you don't, there's nothing, you know, there's no chance a heater would actually work. But this, my God, the heater, no shit, actually works in this car, and it's actually really nice. So really shocked about that. I thought it would just piss everywhere, but it didn't. I mean, it's fluid tight, and just, I have a heater. I just painted this door. I've just rattle canned it black because if you remember, there was a lot of surface rust all across these two doors. I just got the wire wheel out and just brushed them all back when I did the rust repairs at the bottom of the doors. You'll see that in a second. And just spray painted them black. I'm going to go through and you know, like sand it and make it nice and get the craze cracking out and sand back the bolts that I put on, but it's just for, let's make it not rust while it's winter in Australia, shall we? So this is just temporary. This is just to keep it all together. So that's why this masking tape is here. So I can probably take that off now. But what I wanted to show you, not the paint on the door, but on this side, I've taken off all the door cards and regulators because I found that I was starting fires inside the door trim where the old insulation was, and it was just combusting when I was welding on the door skin on the inside. So I had to take the door cards off now. I was going to do it later. It had to be done. I just took the door cards off. These window regulators are held in by circlips, and in the manual it actually tells you need like a flat piece of metal, some time and patience to flick it off. However, I looked at the manual and found that it was very similar looking to GM equipment, which is to say that the window regulators are very similar to like Kingswoods and Commodores Australian market cars. They're probably the same in America or Europe. And what you can actually get is one of these tools, which is like a circlip remover. And what you can do with one of these is that you can actually just pop off the circlip, and window regulators are just pop it off with one of these. So there's a nice trick I learned along the way. So with this, you just see that circlip there, that'll be clipped down and that will be indexed into the spline, and in the direction of the window handle here, you just shove this through and pop it up and the thing comes off. There might be a bit seized on there, so you have to give it a nice reef, but you can do it. As far as rust repairs go, there was a nice rust hole about that big this is the passenger side upper fender, and there was a nice big rust hole about that long. I'll put a picture up on the screen.
and I repaired that pretty easily. I just cut it out. Oh, Y-wheeled it back to the freshest metal I could find, cut it out with some hammer and a brick. I shaped this panel here. This lip here was still there, so that made the job really easy. And I really focused and we welded it in, ground it back, made an invisible repair. This is no bog whatsoever, so this is all repaired properly, so that's really nice. I wish I could say the rest for the rest of the car. Whoops. The passenger door all along the bottom is all rust repaired, just in sections and things like that. That was pretty ugly, so the bog's saving my life here a little bit. Down here we're doing a lot of other bog repair too. This is the old sill, this is the outside of the sill. This is just to clean it up, but we replaced the inner sill section, so the actual jacking point, replaced the outer sill for a good, I believe, how much? I think 2 feet of seal, 2 or 3 feet, or I'd say 2 feet of seal is being replaced along the bottom there. And then just to shape it, again we use some bog. Bog is not a dirty word. Bog is a great crutch for people like me, so shut up. No, but it does jack up really good. No creaks, no cracks. The only creaks and cracks that I get from jacking up the passenger side front after it's been repaired is from the other side, the driver's side front, because it's shifting all of its weight to that side. So we'll take a look at that now. So this is the driver's side, back of the front guard. And you can see these holes here, some ugly bog work from the previous owner. And this is the front corner, frontmost corner of the driver's door. And this, I could feel some rust underneath here, so this would all need to be chopped out, taken off, and then there's like a vertical sill panel inside of this sill, which actually acts, if you follow a center line, it's about here, in line with the jacking point, and when the car jacks up, it braces against that central reinforcement sill. So when you jack it up, that's where it's jacking up against inside the sill, which then transfers its weight on the A-pillar and the rest of the car. So not hard to replace, but they're definitely rusty, so that's the last rust I have to deal with that's not cosmetic. As for the, oh god, that's gross. I don't like how my finger looks out of focus, but right in that area there, so we're looking at this panel here, is the rear jacking point, and the rear jacking points look pretty good, so I'm not going to touch those. They still seem solid. I can't feel any rust running my hand underneath there. It sounds pretty solid. I don't hear much bog at all. You know, bog has a very solid sound like this or this. That's the difference between bog and, in a nutshell, that's how you can tell the difference between bog and metal. Then down here is the boot quarter. Honestly, these welds are really shit. So, but it is solid metal in there. So, bog it up. See how we go. I couldn't weld this side of the repair. I couldn't weld in that side of the template because that's just all bog. All that is bog. There is no metal there. And so when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Just hey, fucking sand, fucking bog that shit, boy. Fuck yeah.